Google Stadia was one of the largest jokes in gaming even before it launched. No one really saw the potential after we heard of all the problems it had, and who wants to put money into another new platform that could fail when games at launch like the already old Mortal Kombat 11 were full price. But over the past year, Google has promised they weren't abandoning Stadia even though the vice president left, the head of games left, and now it's official, Stadia is dead. But unfortunately, it seems that Google has screwed over more than just consumers, because developers are coming out saying we weren't told anything ahead of time. I have a bunch of things to show off, but before we get into the topic at hand, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon for just $1 a month, or support the channel via YouTube memberships. All of the links are in the description, and of course, I do really appreciate all of the support. So let's start out with some of the basic details, and then we'll talk about the developers. It says Google Stadia will shut down next year, all purchases to be refunded. Now, of course, it's been a giant meme that, oh, Google Stadia is the future of gaming, because that's what they claimed, that it was going to change the industry, it was going to do amazing, they were super proud of their idea, and well, it never really took off from what we understood. And now, it's all but confirmed. It says cloud gaming service Google Stadia will shut down on January 18th, the search giant said in a blog post Thursday. I'm going to be honest, I expected them to shut down Stadia exactly a year after launch, and they went 2 years with it being up and running, so that's longer than I anticipated, but Google Stadia just didn't have any appeal to me. I was initially like, okay, we'll see what happens, but then we heard of connectivity problems and frame rate problems, and, certain games were full price even though they were months and months old. There was just no grab for me as someone who owns consoles and a gaming PC. I guess if you don't, maybe it would be appealing, but it didn't take off with any specific group. It says the company aims to have all the refunds completely done by mid-January. Now, this is really good that they do plan to refund all of the games and add-on content purchased from the Stadia store. So in that regard, they're doing something well, but that just means it sold terribly for them. They must have literally made no money off of this, or else they wouldn't be refunding everybody. Obviously, Google has as much money as they need to throw at this project, but if it made a boatload, they would be like, okay, at least it made money from the games, and they wouldn't be refunding everybody. Now, of course, ideas might sound great on paper, and then they're just poorly executed. Projects come, projects go. I do think that Google Stadia was an okay idea. Cloud gaming does seem to be the future of gaming. There are a lot of companies that are banking on it right now, just like Microsoft. But unfortunately, Google Stadia just wasn't it. It didn't catch with people, and that's okay. Some projects come, some projects go, again, like I mentioned. But there could have been a better way they shut this platform down, because unfortunately, they are screwing over developers because they didn't even tell them that they were shutting their platform down. People that were making games for their platform had absolutely no clue. This is a Forbes article. It says Google Stadia shutdown has caught Stadia developers totally off guard. I understand you're not gonna have this product anymore in just a couple of months. You want to end it as quickly as possible. You still should have sent out an email a couple of days beforehand. It's really that simple. And of course, I do feel bad for these people. It says while it's a great and necessary move that Google has chosen to refund purchases through Google Stadia ahead of the cloud gaming service shutting down, one thing they do not seem to have considered is the effect it has on developers who, up until this very moment, were still making games for the platform. It sounds like Google did not communicate anything about Stadia's pending shutdown to any developers, presumably to avoid leaks, but this has resulted in a lot of developers, big and small, being thrown into the lurch. They were tweeting things like Tangle Tower was due to launch on Stadia in 2 days. And this article was the first thing I heard about it shutting down. We had a title coming out November 1st. Now we hear about this. Another person. Oh my god. We have a game coming to Stadia in November. Who wants to guess that Google will refuse to pay us the money they owe us for it? This is really terrible for them. And I have seen some individuals on social media say, well, it's their fault. They were the ones who were banking on Stadia, who thought it was going to, go well. But I don't think that's fair because they were probably offered great money for projects. But if we laugh at them for this, then we can't expect them to try new things in the future. And of course, we want developers to create new things, take risks that will pay off and keep the industry moving forward. So I really don't want to praise these people for banking on Stadia, but I also don't want to attack them for banking on it either. It says then there are bigger developers like Bungie, the maker of Destiny, recently bought by Sony, has been using Stadia to help with its widespread work from home development on the game, and while the Stadia shutdown announcement seems to indicate they may still work with partners on uses of the tech, it's unclear when that may take shape and what immediate plans may have to shift because of the pending shutdown. There's also Ubisoft, who has never met a platform it didn't like and has sunk a massive amount of resources into support over the years. Even they don't seem to have been given a heads up about this, with only this to tell Axios about their Stadia games. We'll have more specifics to share about our games on Stadia at a later date, so essentially nothing. As it says, despite having some solid games in its library, Stadia failed to evolve. Google shuttered its in-house development studio in 2021, hinting that its gaming ambitions were shifting away from Stadia. It also had plenty of cloud gaming competition, with Xbox, Nvidia, and Amazon all offering alternatives. It hasn't been a total bust for the company, with Harrison saying the tech can be applied to YouTube, Google Play, and its augmented reality products, but that tech will also be made available to Google's industry partners. Sony gave its own streaming service a head start in 2015 by buying the patents of OnLive, an early game streaming service, shortly before the once promising startup shut down. And of course, another massive key to this is the fact that only 2 months ago they were telling people that Stadia isn't shutting down. We have a lot of plans for Stadia. We're going to keep it around. We're going to keep it alive. It's doing fine for right now. And unfortunately, the lie detector has determined that that is a lie. Ultimately, I am glad that people are getting refunded, but it's too bad for the developers who were, yes, initially paid to create the games, but for the longevity of the titles, they're going to have to find new homes for them. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. If you found it important and informative, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.